Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weather Impact Live. This is going to be a fun episode with Robert Spetta. Hey, that's
Hello.
Robert Spetta. I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick. Meteorologist Robert Spetta. Let me put some respect on your name. Let me put that title at the front.
Yeah, I went to school.
Yeah, you did. So today we're going to do kind of a mix of two different Weather Impact Live shows that we both like to do. Talking tropics, and remember Weather Watchers Worldwide when we went all over the world and we talked about it. So it's this is going to be a little bit of a mix. So no real local weather focus. That's going to be at 4:30, of course, when Ross Muma and Lou Turner join. But I thought we should start with the tropics, even though, just letting you all know, nothing concerning out there right now. No tropical formation expected in the next 7 days.
Yeah, and this is definitely a Weather Geeks show.
Yes, it is. Welcome, fellow weather geeks.
You know, and I'm going to point this out only because I understand that for a weather geek and anybody that kind of looks at this and they say, they see swirls.
Yeah.
And do you see the swirl there basically due east, like south of Bermuda? It's kind of right below the yellow box right there. That's a little upper level low. There's nothing there, okay? But it's just kind of pointing it out in the sense that it is there. It's a little upper level low, but
fair point.
You need something down near the surface, convection to flare up, and it does rotate, but not going to develop with that area there, Lee.
And it's quiet, or so let me say calm. We don't like to use that other word.
Oh, the word.
That word.
Just so you know, at home, a little peek behind the scenes, the Q word is a 5-letter word that is you don't say it in a newsroom.
It jinxes things usually in a newsroom.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say calm. Couple reasons for that. One, that Saharan dust that's out there, Robert. So let's see if I can load this graphic up.
Get those itchy eyes.
Yeah. So just this plume of dust out there that kind of keeps things dry. So of course, tropical storms, hurricanes, they need moisture, and dust is dry air. It keeps the air very dry, and so it inhibits any sort of formation usually, or it really fights it. It stops a lot of things from forming, or it will quickly choke out a tropical storm or hurricane. So we've seen a good bit of dust out there to keep things nice and calm. We also watched something called wind shear. And Robert, you were showing me this earlier.
Yeah, a solid wind shear on a current typhoon in the Western Pacific. Now, this was a Cat 4. Actually, there's multiple agents here. One was rating at a Cat 5, equivalent of the Saffir-Simpson scale at its peak. And you can see here at the beginning of the loop, so right there, like just very organized, symmetrical storm. But then it almost immediately starts to encounter wind shear here. And it's like blowing out a birthday candles. You know, you get the flame pushed towards the side and eventually it might blow out. Well, that's what we see. And actually the low-level center completely exposed at one point there. So it goes from a major hurricane equivalent here, a Cat 4, Cat 5, down to a tropical storm in the course of like 24 hours. And it just really shows how, you know, we're talking about dry air, but also shear can really just do a number on a storm system, going from that perfect kind of engine, you get that exhaust aloft, to just blowing it over and disrupting that wind flow. And we point this out here because we always talk about shear here in the Atlantic whenever we're talking about tropical systems, but it's always a good example. You can look at stuff around the world, and thus Weather Watchers Worldwide here, and you can see some of those impacts in different scenarios and just learn from them and how that could impact our weather here. But this by the way is turning towards north, and for our military friends, just want to let you know, for Okinawa, it's like 300,000 Americans out there that are around that island. They're probably going to see tropical storm strength conditions with this one as well.
Yeah. Okay. So that's something we'll watch. Again, that's, as you said, though, over in the Pacific. And here locally, just reminding if anyone's tuning in a little bit late, locally, we are not tracking anything right now. No tropical formation expected in the next 7 days. But we're getting close to July. And so our formation regions are going to change a little bit, kind of move to the east more, or move, I should say, more for the Western Atlantic rather than the Caribbean. You can start to see things form more towards the Windward or Leeward Islands, and then go up the east coast of Florida, as well as head through the Caribbean and into the Gulf. But as we head later into hurricane season, we'll start to see these areas spread out a little bit more. Waters continue to warm across the Atlantic. Conditions become a bit more favorable across the Atlantic as we head later into our hurricane season.
But I do want to remind people that it is that El Nino setup, which tends to,
That's true.
Not 100%, but it tends to inhibit tropical formation in the main formation area.
Correct.
So I think we should pay more
And
attention.
the reason why...
wind shear.
Wind shear! So it all connects. But anyway, sorry, go ahead. Continue what you're saying.
But that's mainly the main formation area. So those storms in the Gulf and off of the East Coast would be more likely. So,
Right.
And I point that out too because a lot of people have talked about, and us too, we're guilty of it, saying it could be an average to below average season. But that doesn't mean zero storms. And also it does mean less main formation area formation, but still could be seeing these storms form up in the Gulf and off of the East Coast near the state of Florida and on the first coast here. So we're still got to pay attention to it, right?
Definitely. Absolutely. And yes, so far we've had one named storm. We had Arthur, and that's kind of right on time. So usually we get our first storm around June 20th. And it was, June 19th? June 18th? 17th. It was 17th. And it was close to it. It was right around that time. And usually on average, this is a 30-year average from 1991 to 2020, we get our B storm July 17th, our C storm on August 3rd. However, if you look here, you don't get your first hurricane usually on average until around August 11th. So that is saying that the first 3 named storms could potentially be all tropical storms. But of course, that's just a 30-year average. Lots to watch out for. Of course, we have the example of Hurricane Beryl a couple years ago. That was our B storm, and that was a major Category 5. So
you're telling me I shouldn't take a cruise in the Caribbean in mid to late August?
I'm so sorry to burst your bubble.
I'm not going on a cruise. I'm just saying, that would be nice.
It would be nice. You could try.
Bring
just buy the insurance, the trip insurance.
The Dramamine.
Dramamine, yes, absolutely.
How do you say it?
Dramamine? That's
Dramamine.
how I've always said it.
I was in the Navy. We didn't have that.
No,
They
and
didn't
I
give
get
it to
motion
us.
sick so easily. So I have I think I have some in my backpack right now. For what reason? I'm at work, but I have it all the time.
We weren't allowed to take it in the Navy because it makes you drowsy, and so you could take it going to bed, but you couldn't take it while you're working. So
Fair. Thank goodness now they have the less drowsy and non-drowsy ones now, but still I can see how. Yeah. Okay, we are going to continue our trek across the world. Let's go over to Europe. I have some video out of Europe because, so we know it's hot here, but in Europe, they're dealing with this dramatic heat wave, and they don't have AC over there. So let's take that video if we can, Malcolm. Just difference from spots in England, Spain, France, Germany. Yeah, so they're trying their best to stay cool there.
Where are we looking at now?
So in London, first to start London, a red extreme heat warning was issued by officials. Hundreds of schools remained closed as a precaution. People obviously were then flocking to the pools, to beaches to try to stay cool. Heat wave also impacting Spain. So in Madrid, people are at the lakes there trying to stay cool.
I'm going to say, that guy's just doing laps in the lake.
Doing laps in the lake. Hey,
right.
Find a body of water. Many doing everything they can to stay hydrated. Okay, so in France, though.
This is one of those things, people coming over from the World Cup, for the World Cup, and I've seen those videos where they're just like, do you know one of the best things about America? Every building has AC in it.
Yes.
And I'm like, I never
AC and
really
ranch.
thought about it.
AC and ranch. That's what we got.
AC and ranch.
But this is sad.
America.
This is sad, okay? So in France, 40 deaths from drownings have been reported.
Drowning?
Because people are trying to get in the waters to stay cool.
Oh, my goodness.
So 40 deaths from drownings. They're in rivers and other bodies of water. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower cut its hours, and it closed to tourists early because the mercury climbed to triple digits. And then nationally, France set a new record. So they have something called the National Thermal Indicator, which is an average of temperatures. It's measured at 30 different weather stations across France. So their old record was 29.8 degrees Celsius, which is 85.6 degrees Fahrenheit, or that was the record that was set. So 85.6 degrees as an average across the country, which they are not used to. And again, they don't have AC. So really struggling. And then in Munich, Germany too, people were trying to rest in the shade, using the fountains to wet towels, and just trying their best to cool down. But again, this is something that is more unprecedented for them. Really tough. I have a friend who lives in Paris, and they left the city over the past weekend to go to the beach just to try to get some relief as well.
You know, one thing, and I'm just observing in these videos here, and I'm seeing it a few spots, and something you don't see in the United States, and maybe we should think about this more. I see some umbrellas in parasols. Which, you know, like it's like your own little walking shade. And they kind of got a good idea with that, just staying out of that sun, because otherwise you're going to, and that is supportive. I don't know if that's a spouse, sister, or anything, but that you support each other right there.
Yeah.
Walking over the fountain, getting that water on there. My goodness.
So smart always to put it on your neck too and cool down that way. So
and those are the people that are vulnerable to this, elderly, young people, anybody like that.
But especially where they're not used to that. And they don't have the AC. They don't have the immediate relief in their homes.
Think about here on the First Coast if, like the electric didn't go out, but just the ACs all stopped working.
Yeah.
Like, how would you stay cool? I'm sure everybody would be. I kind of laughed about the guy swimming in. Huh?
I'd be in the mall.
Oh.
The AC is in the mall.
Well, yeah. I laughed about the guy swimming in the lake, but I bet you there would be a couple people out here at the river or somewhere around there just like
I
dipping
love a
their feet
body of
in.
water. And even though I don't always trust some of those river waters, I'd be at the beach here locally.
Yeah.
Okay,
Beach.
also, speaking of heat, and you mentioned the World Cup.
Oh.
We have other video out of Miami.
All right.
Because, so a lot of people talked about the World Cup in Philadelphia because of the severe weather there. But in Miami, they've been dealing with the heat. And so the FIFA Fan Festival at Bayfront Park had to temporarily pause entry on Monday because of the feels like temperatures soared to 110 degrees there. So they had everyone who's already inside, they said, please go find shade. Yeah, find the fans, stay hydrated.
Those are fans.
The Miami-Dade Fire Rescue said crews responded to 25 heat-related incidents at Miami Stadium on Sunday.
25?
25, and 3 people had to be taken to the hospital.
Oh, my God.
But other people there are saying, this is Miami. Like, we expected it to be hot, so we're not ruining our fun, which I think is great as long as you do it in a safe way. You stay hydrated, you find the shade, you stay cool.
I can only relate from going to a Florida stadium, because I've never been to the Miami one, but I've been to the Jags stadium. And I've been to games where a lot of people left their seats and went into the just under the, like, around the stadium just to get out of the direct sunlight. And I can see, because these tickets are not cheap, I could see if you flew all the way from Europe, Africa, Asia, wherever you came from, and you bought these tickets, you're in the stadium, I'm not going to miss a minute of that game.
Exactly what I was thinking. I will suffer out there to watch, because I spent thousands of dollars. And again, this is hypothetical. I have not. I wish I was going.
But if I did, and it's hypothetical because I don't have thousands of dollars to spend on it. But if, let's say I splurged and I bought these tickets, I'm telling, like, these people need to get out of the sun and get into the shade, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to tell somebody who's just roasting alive, like, hey, maybe you should stop watching this game.
Yeah, when you do the math on what per minute that seat costs,
don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
Yeah. So, you got severe weather in Philly with the rain. You got the heat in Miami. Summertime in the U.S., a lot of people from around the world are experiencing it.
Ooh.
We also have a big fire happening right now, staying with the theme of heat.
Goodness
this
gracious.
This is in Utah. So
all right.
Video out of Utah. So there are thousands of acres scorching there. Firefighters are continuing to battle this. It's called the Cottonwood Fire, and it's in Beaver County, Utah. So air tankers are trying to assist in the fight. The forestry officials estimate that it has consumed more than 24,000 acres, and it's 0% contained. So there's lots of mandatory evacuations. This fire ignited Monday afternoon. because it was fueled by the intense heat, the wind, the drought conditions, and so it quickly expanded 10,000 acres right off the jump.
Wow.
And so, yeah, now it's at more than 24,000 acres, and again, not contained.
Wow. That's what I was going to ask you is like how many people are being impacted by this cottonwood in Beaver County. Talk about a location up in the mountains there.
And unfortunately, it's just one of actually many fires burning right now in Utah. But this is just like the big one, not contained, so all eyes are on this one.
That's a wild you imagine just
scary
looking off in the. I mean, we see those kind of controlled burns around here that kind of look like that sometimes. But these uncontrolled ones, that's some scary stuff. And especially if I was in that community there, because all you know is that if the wind shifted, like, God forbid, if the wind shifted, that could change up your whole scenario here. Not saying it would, like, this town would burn, but the smoke would start pouring in at least.
Smoke, and then the fire. I mean, obviously, we hear about this a lot with people in California. They know how you can lose everything in a minute, and it's just the red glow at night of a fire is also always so eerie to me.
It just looks like there's a volcanic eruption.
It does, yeah. It's just so spooky, especially when you see it in person. It's just so eerie.
Have you ever seen that in person?
Yeah. I have family out west. I've gone to visit them, and all up and down the West Coast, from like the Pacific Northwest down towards. I've been in Arizona before too. When we were jeeping through some of those areas, and we got too close to the fire. We're told to evacuate because it shifted. Woo! And then we're like looking over our shoulder trying to outrun. Like you all of a sudden start to see the flames. It's so scary. Yeah, fires are so scary.
That is. My goodness. Be careful, Lee.
I will, I promise. I was with a guide. So, yeah, I didn't just go out there on my own. Goodness, no. So let's switch it up to how about rain, storms, severe weather, damaging winds. So let's go to southeast Tennessee. They were pummeled Monday night. There were trees that were snapped, power lines down. Unfortunately, homes were damaged. Local utilities said more than 260 power lines went down. Wow. So that's a lot of work to do. At one point, more than 4,500 customers were without power. So some 500 workers were in the field to try to restore the service and the crews last night and today, and so they're still out there working right now because 260 power lines down in Tennessee.
Wow.
And this was part of a big complex, so we also saw, severe weather, for instance, in Montgomery, Alabama, too. I think we have video out of there. That was the same time frame. Monday night, there's a big mess left in Montgomery. Let's see, they were talking about having to pick through mangled metal. They had to use heavy equipment, as you can see it there on your screens, too. Power crews had to fix a lot of sagging poles. They are also working on restoring electricity. Traffic closed for hours. There was massive trees that were uprooted, and there too some homes suffered from roof damage as the branches fell. As we know, that doesn't have to be a tornado.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, these are straight line, probably squall line winds coming through here, and that can still cause a lot of issues. I mean, because we've all seen it, especially working in this field, where people say, it's just a severe storm. It's like, no, I mean, like yesterday, even in Jacksonville, we had a severe storm that caused 20,000 people to lose power.
Yeah.
I've seen some trees down. Even one report in downtown, and though this is separately from this storm, one report in downtown, somebody said that their door slammed shut and the window broke. Like, it's not this.
No.
But you still take those severe storms. You get a severe storm warning, get inside, hunker down.
I was driving south down A1A, and part of that road was closed due to a power line down.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So, we had that here with severe storms. So, and then, luckily we didn't have any flooding. They're flooding right now in Oklahoma. We have video out of, and I don't know how to officially pronounce it. It might be Caney, Oklahoma.
Caney.
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 So
Connie
this is
or Caney? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, from the fire department there. They said several roads, including highways, had to be shut down.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So just lots going on around the country.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is quite...
Okay, and I doubt that this person drove into a flood water right there. What happens is that there's that sinkhole, you drive over top of it, and it could collapse. But really quick, that truck there a second ago, that is one of the clear reasons why we say turn around, don't drown, because that may have already been collapsed and just flooded.
And they couldn't see
And they couldn't see it. And this is why we say, like, it looks like it's good to go. And you're like, I drove on this road 1,000,000 times. That's a road. But like sometimes that stuff can wash out and that can surprise you out here.
So dangerous and so scary. Yeah, look at that. Look at that water that's just ripping through there. Oh, so scary.
Whew.
Malcolm, how much time do we have left in this stream? Do you want to watch the package, Robert, about
Yes, I would
hail?
love to watch it.
Okay, so we're going to toss to a package here right now about severe storms in Indiana Sunday.
Oh.
So they produced numerous tornadoes, but they also produced hail, and hail has been devastating some farmers out there. Their crops were destroyed. So
no.
let's take a listen.
Sunday at 6 or 7 o'clock, this is what this crop looked like. It was getting ready to pollinate. You can see the tassel coming out. This is the same hybrid planted the same day. It just didn't get hailed on. And you can see what it's worked down to, which the plant is dead now. It's not going to produce.
Ethan Ireland runs the farm, which has been in his family a long time. He says the corn was planted in April and had the potential to be some of the best crops they've ever had in the area. The second-generation farmer says he has never seen anything like this.
We looked out to our cornfields, and they looked a bit funny compared to what they did 30 minutes earlier. And so that hail, no bigger than it was, it has stripped several acres of corn, and it's killed it.
About 450 acres of corn crop were leveled by what he says was nickel-sized hail.
Decisions to make. We have crop insurance, and crop insurance adjusters can kind of tell us how bad the damage is. Obviously, what's right around us here is going to yield zero. But the outlying areas where the hail wasn't as severe, we'll have to make decisions on whether to keep that and harvest it or destroy it and go from there.
His home and grain bins were all spared from the damage. He says it felt like God was watching over.
Family, my home, everything is safe and well, and so I just thank him for that, and we can deal with the lost corn crop.
He says they are working with crop insurance adjusters to assess the damage, but unfortunately corn season has passed. They'll now have to wait until next year to give corn another chance.
Oh, so sad. I feel so bad for them. All right, so what we're looking at now, we're going to wrap it up for you here. This is your 7-day forecast. We know we didn't really touch on our local weather. That will be reserved for the 4:30 stream.
Yeah, you got meteorologist Ross Muma and our chief meteorologist Lewis Turner is going to be here at 4:30, and they're going to break down and might even have some rain the track out there around that time.
Yeah, but today is a much drier day.
Yeah.
Like really today, we're not going to get a lot of relief. So with those severe thunderstorms that moved through yesterday, temperatures plummeted with it. We went from the 90s to the 70s, like that. So today, we don't have a whole lot of rain out there. So that means most of us will stay scorching through the evening hours as well. Still feeling like the 90s and the 80s out there through our evening hours. So just be prepared for that. Today is more about the heat, even though our high temperature, not as high. I think we got to 97 yesterday at the airport. But then that storm cooled us down. Today, we're just kind of sitting in that heat. And then we have a couple more 97s on that forecast. So it's staying hot.
Yeah, so stay cool out there and be happy you're not in Europe where there's no AC.
Right.
We got it here.
We got that. I mean, this is a great excuse for ice cream. Get some nice, cool treats. By the weekend at 97, if you do have outdoor plans, and again, we'll go into this more at 4:30, but I want everyone to start thinking now about what would you do to stay cool, especially if you have those outdoor plans? Because 97, obviously, that is a story in itself. It's brutal. But then when you add the humidity, heat index values could be around 110 degrees. Like that is dangerous heat. That's when you get the heat advisory. That's when we issue weather impact alerts. Sometimes Jacksonville will open cooling centers when it gets that hot, and that is the heat that we are expecting over the weekend. 110 for a feels like temperature.
Oh my goodness. Well, stay cool out there.
Yeah, so, all right, I think we have 30 seconds left, so we will just wrap it up here for everyone. And again, thank you for joining us as we nerded out all about the tropics and then weather watchers worldwide. Happy things right now in our local tropics are calm, but we watch it for you every week. We always do a deep dive into the tropics every Tuesday or Wednesday, so we'll be back next week with more on that.
Bye.